Welcome to Horribly Wrong Comic Book Origins, where a non-comic fan takes a crack at a classic comic tale. Today's origin is Wonder Woman.
All right, so Greg, Wonder Woman is a bit of a newer character. So
okay.
So they haven't really developed this story out completely yet. But Wonder Woman's real name is Alicia Catherine Wonderwood, right?
Oh, of course.
And so of course, this is where the wonder kind of comes from in her name. And Alicia just grows up in a small town. We don't specifically know, we know she's American. We don't specifically know where she grows up. We assume it's a kind of a rural area because as she kind of grows older, she becomes really obsessed with horses. And this is kind of where kind of half the story comes from.
Gotcha.
So Alicia kind of goes to, through the motion. She goes to elementary school, middle school, high school in this small town. She knows everyone knows her. She doesn't end up going to college because she doesn't really know quite what she wants to do with her life, and it's this kind of equestrian obsession she has that kind of drives her towards a local stable in which she kind of works. She's kind of living paycheck to paycheck. She doesn't really know how she's going to make ends meet. And the way she clears her head, Greg, is she goes on rides, and she likes to go on rides after the stable closes down. So like it's dusk one night, and she rides into the woods on this horse. She has her favorite horse there. She doesn't have enough money to own a horse, but she has a favorite horse.
Do we need to know the horse's name?
No, that's not important.
Not important. Got it.
So she rides into the woods, and she's riding along in this any town, USA, and she stumbles across I want to say the remains because it's still in progress archaeological dig.
Oh, okay.
And a local university, actually a community college, is kind of studying that.
Community college doing a dig, an archaeological dig in any town, USA.
Right, exactly.
Okay, wow, this is a good
because
community
this is
college.
What's really important because as you know, Wonder Woman kind of becomes cosmically important, and so it's really not important where
cosmically important.
We don't often talk about her. We don't often talk about where she comes from. So she's riding through, and she sees this dig, and there's tarps over everything to protect it. Some things have been kind of dug back into to protect the remnants and stuff. She goes in and she starts to kind of mess around and see what's going on. And of course, this is an ancient Indian burial ground, Greg. Because
oh my gosh.
Because we don't have very old there's nothing of antiquity in the United States, really.
Sure.
So it's an Indian burial ground, and we don't specifically know what she finds because they haven't told the story yet. This is the thing about Wonder Woman is they haven't had enough time to develop this specific part of the story. So she finds some relic that gives her powers.
So in the comic book, you're paging through, and it's just like a blank box. They find, and it's like scribbled out.
Well, think about it. Let me put it in terms you understand, Greg.
Thank you.
In Jericho, we didn't know specifically what happened. Who detonated the bombs for some time. We knew like what happened, and then we jumped ahead,
now
right?
I see what you're saying.
So this is a very similar kind of thing. So Wonder Woman, finds some sort of relic. Maybe it's some sort of skull of a dead Indian shaman.
Of course.
Or an arrowhead of some sort. And so she gets these powers, and she rides back on her horse. It's dusk at this point. It's getting dark, right?
Time of day important. Horse name not so much.
So she rides back and yada yada yada. She becomes a superhero.
Wow, the arrowhead. But anyways, bam, out there fighting crime.
Now what's important is that a lot of people wonder like, why does she use a whip? What's the deal with this whip? And it's really quite simple, right? She has the whip because she's in the horses, so she's constantly whipping the back of the horse to make it go faster.
Sure.
And it's like a natural implement for her. And so becomes her weapon. And so the story, which is a very young, it's only a decade old or so.
Sure.
The story of Wonder Woman is told. And eventually they're going to get to this whole origin story about Wonder Woman, I'm told.
They're going to get to it one of these days in one of these comics?
I'm told by my sources that they're going to get to Wonder Woman and kind of tell about what specifically she found at that community college archaeological dig.
Yeah, okay. Your story is very interesting, and I like that, but you're a little bit off. Of course, Wonder Woman, one of the trinity of DC Comics superheroes, created 1941. So they fleshed out the Indian shaman head part of it.
Okay.
Pre-New 52, her mother her mother prayed to the gods for a baby and then molded her out of clay, and then she lived on Themyscira with all the other Amazonians. Post-New 52 here, she's her mother, Queen Hippolyta, or whatever the hell, Hippolyta, I can't know.
That sounds made up.
They write the words, she had sex with Zeus, and then she's like the demigod baby. Hippolyta. And then she runs out.
No, this is Alicia Catherine Wonderwood. Are we still talking about the same person?
We are, sadly, still talking about the same person. She goes by the name Diana Prince, of course, when she's on land. She's dating Superman right now in the comics.
I don't think so.
Thanks for watching. Click here to watch Blue Beetle's origin. Click here to watch Colin and Greg discuss Judge Judy. Click here to see the boys pick the top 25 PlayStation Network games.